If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
Now let's just start with this session. So today is the second session on Power BI. So what's the agenda for today? Basically to get an overview of Power BI desktop, data sources in Power BI desktop, connecting to the data using Power BI desktop, how to transform and load the data with a tour of query editor and advanced query editor, some transformation techniques, and then how to add some roles, how to add some different like transform and add column ribbons, query dependency. So there are a lot of topics which are there. So probably we will try to cover as much as possible, and then we will continue in the second session, another session. Correct? So everyone has downloaded this file in the system. Now, what is the source of this data? Can somebody tell me? Remember, yeah. So source means what is the type of this file? What's the name of this file? Sample Superstore. And what is the type? If we go over here and if we go to the materials, what does it says?
Microsoft Excel worksheet.
Excel worksheet. Correct. Now see, we have opened this Power BI first home window, correct? Now, my first task is to connect to the source of data. So if I open up this file, my first task is to understand the data, what is given inside the data set. So I open up my file, I open this up, and I see few things over here. Now, what are the things? There are different tables. When we work in Microsoft Excel, we call it as a different worksheets or different tabs, correct? But for the Power BI, these all are different tabs or tables. This is orders table, this is returns table, then this is a people table, then there is some another tables like customer table, product table, etc. Now, whenever you start with our data analytics, so my first objective is to understand what is given in the data set. Once you know the data set, then only you can proceed further because you will know what you need to get as an output in my data set. So I will just focus today as of now on orders tab. That is orders table. Now what is given in this table? So there are certain row IDs given to us, and how big is the data? You have 9,994 rows. How many rows of data we have? 9,994 rows of data. Why I have noted down this? Correct. So when we take in the data inside a tool, we have to make sure that we don't lose out on a data. Because if you lose on the data, your output will not be correct. When we transform the data, so there are high chances that the tool might eradicate some rows. So in case if it's a minute difference, it will work. But if more rows are deleted, more rows are eradicated, then it's a problem because you have lose on the data and it will not show you the correct picture, right? So how many rows of data I have? 9,994. Now what else is given to us in this particular table? Now this data is about a e-commerce website which note down its orders. That somebody has placed an order, it assigns an order ID to it. When was the order dated? Like you place an order and then it takes some times to ship. Like on an Amazon, you place an order today, it might ship after 1 day or same day or even after 2 or 3 days. So what was the shipment date? What was the mode? Now what is the customer ID? What is his name? In which segment he purchased it, like it's mobile or something like that, or whether the customer is a corporate customer or is a normal consumer, in which country he stays, what was the city in which order. So all those things have been given. Then they have given you a product IDs, that what product ID he purchased. So you know that whenever you order something, you get a product, there is a barcode. What is that barcode? That's basically a product ID. Now to which category does it belong? What is the subcategory and the name of the product? Now after that they store other information like what was the sales, what was the revenue, that is the what was the cost of the product. Correct. Then how many quantity did he ordered and what was the discount that was offered to the person. So sometimes they give promotional activities, sometimes you have some voucher codes to apply a discount. And in total, what was the profit out of this order? Correct. So I get a basic idea. This is a retail data for a e-commerce website where they have given us a details about all the orders which have been placed by that particular website. Correct. Now I go to Power BI. My first step is to connect to the source of data. So what is my source of the data? Excel workbook. So what you can do is you can click on this Excel workbook or you can say get data. So I click on get data so that you know there is other option also, and you click on Excel workbook and then you take your path to that particular folder where you have stored this file. And now once you click on this file, it will give you a preview. This is the navigator window. Navigator means where you want to navigate inside that source. So how many tables I have? All the tables which are in the source file, you can see all the tables. And sometimes it also suggests another table. That's okay. But you should always focus over here. Now, how many tables you are able to see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now your first question should we bring in all tables or should we bring in a selective table? See, if you know that you will be working on all the tables, then only bring your all tables in the Power BI. Else only bring that particular table which is required for the analysis. Else you will just delay the performance of Power BI, because if it's a huge data set, the size of Power BI file will increase. Hence, it will cause a problem and it will have some running time issues. So as I said, on what table we will be working on? Orders. So you can check mark on this orders, correct? And you can have a preview. You can have a preview of the data that what is coming up. So I can see the complete preview of the data, right? And then I get three options, whether you want to load the data, you want to transform the data, or you want to cancel out. If you cancel it out, it will remove this source of connection. If you click load, it will directly load it in this Power BI. Let me just show you. I will give you time to do it. You click on load data. So this is your Power BI window. The data is now being loaded in Power BI. How do you know that the data is loaded? On the right hand side, there is a field. Let me just open an Epic pen. Now, how do you know that your data is loaded in Power BI? You can see from here. Earlier, this field would have been a blank, but now you see all the column headers, like in the table, whichever was the column is coming up, category, city, country, customer ID. So all have been arranged alphabetical wise, correct? Or you can also see it from here whether your data is loaded or not. You can go to this data view. Correct. Now you can go to this data view and you can see your data is coming up. For example, if I remove this, if I now delete it from model. Now see, initially when I delete it, you don't see any data over here. And even you don't see any field over here. Correct. But once I loaded it, then only it appears over here. So this means if something appears over here, that means your data is loaded in Power BI. Now, when the question is, when do you load the data and when do you do the transform data? So there are two options, load and transform. In case you think the data which you have received is a clean, like I explained in that particular day, like yes, if yes is coming as yes, 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 yes. So this gives you an indication that your data is not cleaned. You need to transform it. Then instead of transforming or instead of loading, you will transform the data. In case you think that your data is ready to be used, then you can click on load data. But uh, it's not a mandatory thing. It's not a thing like if you load the data, then you cannot transform the data. If you load the data first, then also you can transform the data. You can transform the data and then load it. It's one of the same thing. Like it's not that you cannot go from one place to another place. Correct. So what I do is I open up this file. I click on get data, Excel workbook and sample superstore. I click on the orders tab and I will click on transform data. Why I will click on transform data is because today we will learn some steps regarding the transformation of the data. That what do we require to do to transform the data. Correct. So just do it. Now just one more minute. So I click on transform data. Now see what has happened now. Once you click on transform data, a new window opens up and the name of this window is Power Query. And we have discussed the different views components of Power BI like Power View, Power Pivot, Power Query, Power Map, Q&A. Correct. So this is Power Query where you transform your data. This all together opens up a new window. Now you see on this Power BI, you will see two windows. One is your Power Query Editor. Another is your normal Power BI desktop. When you transform the data before loading, you transform the data, you will still see the data is not in your Power BI. It's in your Power Query Editor. Until and unless you don't load the data, it will not come in Power BI desktop. Either it will remain in Power Query or you have not connected to a source. So try this out and open a Power Query window. In case you have any doubts, just let me know.
How did you delete your data once it was loaded on the initial one?
So once I loaded over here, so there is a three dots. Let me just show you. Now see, once I am loading this data in Power BI. Now you can see this data is coming up over here. Correct. So there are three dots.
Yes.
And you can say delete from the model. Delete from model.
Okay, thank you.
So right now we should just be on the Power Query Editor table with the data displaying.
Correct.
Okay, cool. We haven't actually transformed anything yet. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right where I'm at. Yep.
Correct.
Great.
So today we will be working on this Power Query Editor.
Okay. So transform is next, right?
Correct. Now everyone is on this window. In case somebody is facing any issues, just let me know. I will help you out. All right. Now see, once you open up this Power Query window, so you have a ribbon window over here. Now what is this ribbon window? So it's basically a kind of steps which you apply over here for the transformation. Over here is your query tab. Now you can say your table or query. Power BI name it as a queries. So I told you that what is this order? This is a orders table, but it appears under your queries because this is a Power Query Editor. So as per Power BI, this is one query. So we have this one query which is there in as of now in Power BI. And another thing is you can add a number of queries. So basically there were 7 tables when I clicked on get data. If you bring in all the queries or all the tables, it will show one by one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct. And in between you can see what is the data inside that particular query. And on the right hand side, it shows some of the steps you will perform to transform the data. Now you will see some of the steps are already there, like source, navigation, promoted headers, and change type. Now why it has happened over here? So there are certain inbuilt. So what happens is once you go in the once you open the Power Query, right? So these are the steps which by default happens. This is the source. Now what was my source? We connected to the Excel file. So this was the first step that you connected your file to the C users, this thing. Now next was the navigator window. Remember what was the navigator window? From where you selected your table. Which table we selected? Orders. Correct. Now next 2 steps, it automatically performs Power BI. What is the steps? A, it considers the first row as a header. Can you see if I am on the navigation step, it shows column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, correct? But it promotes your first row, which is this row, as a header. Can you see? This becomes as an header. Now the last step it performs is a change type. Now what is this change type? Now can you see this? Here it is written as ABC123, ABC123, ABC123. Everywhere it is written ABC123. Correct? So what does a change type do is it assigns a data type to individual column. Now if I go to this step, can you see what is coming against row ID? 1, 2, 3. That means this is a whole number. Now what is coming in the order ID? This is a string ABC text. Now what is this ship date? It's a date. Can you see this date? What is this order date? This is a date type. Now if you similarly go in the end, you will see sales. What is sales coming as decimal number? Can you see this decimal? 1.2? Yeah. Now see what happens in Power BI is if you go to file, there is options and settings, and then there is options. Correct? Where I went, I go to file, options and settings and options. Now can you see a window opens up? Now what does it say? Type of detection. Always detect column types and headers for unstructured sources. Now this is always checked in, but if you will say never detect column types and headers for unstructured sources, these two steps will never happen. Promote headers and change type. Then you will have to manually do it. So it's always to use always detect column types and headers for unstructured sources.
Cool.
Correct? So these
my default was set on the second one down, and so it's actually better to use the first one.
Yes, it's better to use the first one.
Okay. Great.
Now see, what is this orders? This is the name of the query. Now, in case you want to change the name of the table, it's coming as orders. You want to write no training data. So you can write training data over here. It will change the name of the query. Correct? And if you click it over here, orders, it will come up again as an orders. So this is now whatever steps we will be doing to transform the data, like if I add a column, if I subtract a column, or if I do any kind of thing, all the steps will come up over here one by one. Now this is a orders query. In case you want to copy the data, you can just copy and paste it anywhere in your Excel file. Right? It gives you some coding over here that this is coding which is not required for as of now. Correct. Next is in case you want to delete it. Now you think you don't need this query. You brought it by mistake. You can delete it. Right? You can close it from here. As of now, enable load is once you apply the changes, whether you want to load this query in Power BI or not, this we can just see in the later part. Now duplicate. What does this mean? You can create a copy of this query. To be on a safer side, if you think you have pulled the data from a very tedious source and you don't want to waste your time, so that in case something happens, I have a backup of the query, you can also create a duplicate. So these are now two duplicate queries. Right? So we will look into this after some time. So main purpose is to, in case you want to rename it or delete it, how you can delete this query. Correct? Now this is your view of your data. What is the data given inside view? Now what you can do over here is, can you see this is coming as valid error empty? Is this coming for you guys also?
No, I don't see
No,
that.
it's not.
I don't have that.
No.
Okay.
I don't have that either.
So you can go to view and can you see this column quality option? This would be unchecked for you.
Ah, very nice. Got it.
Right? So now what's the purpose of this column quality? It shows that in this particular column, I have 100% valid results. There are no blanks, there are no errors. Correct? So in case there are blank rows, so it gives us an idea that in this particular column, I have a blank columns or blank cells, or there are some errors in the data set, so that it helps us to identify in case there is an error in your data, you can rectify that error. Correct? So you can just have a quick view. Okay, here everywhere is green, 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 like everything is valid. Plus the second way to identify is, can you see this line, green line? It's completely greened out, correct? So this is also an example that you have a clean data. In case there are some errors or something like that, it will become half green and half orange or black to give you an indication that the quality of the column has some empty values or you have some nulls or you
I
have
have a
some
quick question.
errors.
How does it know what's an error? So for instance, in the ship date, if the date format is incorrect, does that consider it to be an error?
Okay, yes. So
Okay.
suppose in case there is a date, in date somebody has added a text, correct? So it will give you an error. Or
Okay,
in case
perfect.
sometimes there is a printing error, like when you download the data from your source, you get some error. Right? So there are some printing errors and all those things which comes in their data set. So you need not worry on that. Done. Now there are certain steps over here which you can do it. Now suppose you think you have cleaned your data. Now your data is clean. I'm saying assume your data is cleaned. So you can see there is an option. If you close this, nothing happens. Your data is moved out. Why? Because you have not loaded in Power BI. Now, if you say apply, now what will happen is all these changes will move to your Power BI and you will see everything comes up over here. Correct? And if you say close and apply, this close and apply, it will close your Power Query window. Like if I say close and apply, it will close your Power Query window and load your data over here. Correct? So close means nothing happens. Apply means it will flow your data to the Power BI. Close and apply means it will close your Power Query window and flow your data to the Power BI. Now I come to this thing, but I still want to perform some steps. I can click on transform data and say transform data. Now my Power Query window will open up again. Just try this out.
I think I messed something up. I think I closed it all out together. I accidentally clicked on something. I'm sorry.
No worries. We are just in the beginning of the step, so you can quickly open up a Power BI and do it.
For me, it came up as a like new window.
Yeah, so this new window is like this. This is your window.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's over there. Okay.
Yeah, so this is your Power BI window. Correct? So I just did a apply option over here, right? So that my data is loaded over here. I can see, and I'm also on the Power Query window. In case you have done close and apply, need not worry. Can you see the data coming up over here? In case the data is coming up, your data is loaded in now Power BI. Now click on transform data and click transform data. correct? Now see, another option is new source. Now what does this mean? Suppose you want to bring in more queries, correct? So you can bring in more queries by clicking on new source like Excel workbook. Suppose I bring the same sample superstore, correct? And now I bring customer table. In case I want to bring in, now you can see it will take some time. Now new query is comes up over here. So in case you have multiple sources of data, one table is in Excel, another table is in SQL Server, another is in PDF file, another is in some other way. So you can add a new source and you can like click on more. You can select your source of data. A window will open up. So you can select a source like if I say PDF, correct? So if I have some PDF file, I can so see, I have this page one, so I can bring this up. So see, this is an example. This nulls are coming. So this is an example, column 3, blank name is coming. So this is an example to load it. So by this, you can bring n number of queries in your Power BI. Now I don't need this, so I'm just deleting it. Correct. Now I can click on this orders and stay it over here. Now recent sources is if you know you have recently connected to a file like we connected to sample superstore. So it will appear over here and you can bring another table from here in case you want to bring it like customer table. Click OK, it will automatically come. So you don't have to click on new source, Excel, like over here we do Excel, then we go to this place and then do it. Instead, you can just click it over here and it will automatically open up that source of file. Also, you can manually enter the data in Power BI. If you click on this enter data, and you can also type it manually, like if you want to say serial number, right, something like that. If you want to manually enter it, you can do it. But I guess this will be the last option you will do in your organization to enter the data manually. Correct?
Yeah, I would hope we wouldn't have to do it manually.
Yeah. Now this data source setting is nothing, but it's just gives you an option from where your data is coming up. Now suppose today you guys are working in an organization. You guys always have an access to the shared drive. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have a shared drive. In shared drive, there are number of folders. Correct. Now, today you did some work and tomorrow you come up again to perform some analysis. Right. And you get a call from your subordinate or your team member that the data which you will be refreshing today don't take from the file where it was saved yesterday. We have changed the folder name and moved the file to some other location. Now you have performed some task over here and your file has moved to some another folder. So what you can do is you can go to your data source setting and you say change source and a file window will open like this. You can click on browse and you can go to that particular folder and select that file and click open and click OK. So it will just change your connection to that file.
If I'm on a different view, how do I come back to the query view?
So can you go to this Power BI icon below? Can you see two windows?
Let me see. I have only one window right now.
So can you see this transform data?
Transfer, yeah, I do.
Yeah, there is a drop down. and then click
Okay.
on transform data. This window will open up.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Just try this out, take a minute or so, and then we will discuss further. So when I'm asking you to do these steps, I'm also making you familiar with Power BI, correct? So that tomorrow once you use, you know how these steps happen, what will happen if I do this. So it will help you to basically be very quick in your task. Correct? So these are some of the steps by which you can bring in more sources of data, or you can change the location of the file in case you want to change the location, or how to you can enter the data manually. Now, in case you think you can, few of the things we will leave as of now because this is just the beginning. Now, in case you think the data is refreshed or more data is entered, so you can click on refresh all. So it will go to your source data and will refresh your data. Correct? Now there are certain other things like properties, like if you would have to write something about this query, that this data is about e-commerce website, something like in case you want to describe this query, you can write in properties that what does this query stands for. It's not used, very rarely used. Advanced editor is, we discussed in the first class that Power BI is a non-coding tool. It's a drag and drop tool. But what happens is at the back end of the Power BI, there is some coding which happens. So if I click on advanced editor, so can you see there is a coding which is being done over here, which is also known as M language. What's the language of Power BI? It's called M language. So over here in the backend, they write some coding over here. So in case you want to learn the coding, you can just try something and then probably see if you can write the codes. Correct. But when they have given an option to just drag and drop, why to use this? So in case just you want to see the coding, what it has done, you can look at this advanced editors. Correct. Now manage the same thing which you can do it from here. Yeah.
Access that code screen again.
Yeah.
Was on. Oh, okay, there it is. Okay, thanks.
So you just left click on this advanced editor. Now manage is similarly like in case you want to delete this query or duplicate it or reference it. So if I say duplicate, a window will come up. I deleted. Correct. If I click over here, right click, duplicate, you can. So these three options. So basically it gets, if you want to delete it, duplicate it and reference it. So in reference, what happens is whatever changes you will make in this original, like if I double click on this and I say row, correct? In the second editor will also change it. But in case you duplicate it, then it will not happen because here we are referencing, correct? So we will see why do we reference, why do we create a reference of this? And now can you see I renamed this first column? Can you see a step comes up over here, renamed columns? Correct? Now, in case you don't want to rename this column, I want to bring back my original name. So I can just close it down and this will come up over here. What I did, I just row ID, rename column comes, I close it. This step is deleted. Now next column is choose columns. What does this mean? How many columns are there? Can you see there are 21 columns. If you have to see how many columns are there, you can see in the bottom left over here. How many columns you have? "21 columns, bottom left hand side. It is not working. Okay, no worries. So you
So
can
is
see
there an easy way? You had us look at the number of rows. Is there an easy way to make sure we got them all?
Yeah, I will show you one
Okay,
way.
thanks.
So the easy way is, can you go to this transform? There is a home transform. So you can just click it once, count rows. It will give you 9994 and then you can delete this step. Go to transform, count rows. It will give you a detail how many rows are there, 9994, and then you can delete it. So how many columns we have? 21 columns. In case we want to count the rows, transform, count rows, and you get the number, and then you close these steps.
Nice.
Now how many columns I have? 21 columns, correct? Now there is a drop down. So see, there are 21 columns. There might be 100 columns, correct? We cannot say how many columns of data we might get during our analysis. Now, if I get 100 columns, I have to go to a specific column. It becomes very tough to scroll towards the right and look for that particular column, correct? Don't you think it becomes very tough? Right, so you can just click on the choose column and say go to column and all the list will come up and then you select sales. It will directly take you to that sales column. Now, if I want to go to my first column, okay, I can just drag like this and I can come to my first column. But here, in case there are many columns, then I can select go to column and select that particular column and go over there. Now choose column. There is one more option, choose column. So if you click on choose column, Suppose there are 21 columns which are coming up over here. Now I don't want this row ID. I don't want order ID. I don't want order date. I don't want ship mode. So you can just deselect the columns which you don't want. And all these columns will be removed. And now you can see how many columns are left. 16 columns. Right? In case you don't want to do it, you can just cross this out. Try. Now, next is to remove the columns. So see, if you click it over here, it gives you an option remove column or remove other column. If I select remove column, this row ID will be deleted. But if I select this column and say remove other columns, so all other columns will be deleted, only this column will be left. So this is to basically see if this is one of the kind of a adjacent kind of thing. So to remove the columns, you can use either of the options. Now see, to do one thing in Power Query, you might have a multiple steps. Like you get how many options? Two options, remove column, remove other column. There is a drop down over here. From here also you can do the same thing. Sorry, right click over here, select this column, right click and say remove. This column will be removed. Or you can select this, right click and say remove other columns. All other columns will be removed.
So is that basically the same as choose columns when you select the different ones that you want?
Yeah, so it's like one of the same things, like you can deselect from here or you can just say remove these columns, correct?
Okay.
The next thing is to keep rows and remove rows. So keep and remove are vice versa. If you say keep, that means you want to keep those rows in the data set. If you say remove, you want to remove those rows. For example, if I say there you will get, we will pick up one unclean data. As of now, this is much cleaner data. Now, if you say keep top rows, it will ask you how many rows you want to keep. I said 200. So it will only keep 200 rows and will delete all other rows. Can you see now how many rows of data I have? Only 200. And at it has, now if I select count rows, 200 will come. Why? Because we have deleted all other data. We have only kept first 200 rows. Another option is if you want to keep bottom rows, that you want to keep bottom 300 rows. So now just look at this numbering row ID. So you keep bottom. Now you can see the number starts from 9695. And now the count is only 300. Correct. Now, in case you want to keep some range, that your range first row which you want to keep is from 15. And how many rows you want to keep? 500. So it will keep your 500 rows starting from 15. Now, similarly, you can just say keep duplicates. Over here, we don't have as of now duplicate, but in case you want to check whether there is duplicate or not, you say keep duplicate. So it says there is no duplicate. Had there been any duplicate, it would have shown you the duplicate values, rows. Or in case there is any errors in any row, you want to keep that rows, you can select that thing. So this is to keep the rows. Now the vice versa is remove. It says keep first 100 rows. It will say remove top rows. So I say remove 200. So it will remove top 200 rows and will show you the next rows after that. Similarly, you will see the same options. This will keep and this will remove. And here you have one more option to remove alternate rows, like first row to remove first. Then how many rows you want to remove? 5. And how many you want to keep? 5. So what it will happen? Start from first, it will remove 5, then keep 5, then remove 5, keep 5, remove 5, keep 5. Now, next two options are sort a column. Now, suppose if I have to sort this column, how the columns are sorted, either from A to Z, Z to A, or smallest to largest, largest to smallest. In terms of date, how it will sort? New to oldest, oldest to new. Correct. So in case you want to sort your column, you can select this. This is A to Z. Now if I do Z to A, basically 994 to this. If I do sorting from A to Z, this will become 1 to 4. For example, now if I sort this Z to A, you will see 11/8/2016. If I sort this, so over here it's not sorting the date, right? Let's just see. So when you have a date, it might not sort this, right? But yeah, for other things, like if I have a ship mode, it will sort from A to Z. Okay, here you will not be able to identify. Here, okay, like C, segment. Now can you see home office is coming up? So if I sort A to Z, just a second. Sorted consumer, okay. Now see, there was another function which was applied. Now see, I've done sort Z H to A, like descending to ascending, that's why it's doing it. If I just clear off this sorting and say sort A to Z, it's sorting A to Z. So we have to clear the first sorting. Now let's just try for dates. Now if I have to sort A to Z, now can you see this is oldest to newest. Now the oldest date is coming first. Now if I do Z to A, your latest date comes up. So remember how sorting does? In case of numeric, smallest to largest, largest to smallest. In terms of text, it will be A to Z or Z to A. In terms of date, it will be oldest to newest or newest to oldest. Right, so there are two options, as I said. Either you can do it from here or you can also do it from here. Sort ascending, sort descending. Now there is another option, split column. So anyone knows what is split column? Any idea what do you mean by split column?
But one column into two?
Correct. So now see, this is a order ID. Can you see this is coming as ca.ca/2016/15216. So you can basically split this column. So you get a lot of options by delimiter. By delimiter means is there any symbol by which you want to split? So you can say what is the delimiter over here? Colon. Can you see this dash? Sorry, dash. So now it asks you leftmost. So whatever is the leftmost, CA will come in one thing, 2016 will come in one place. In case you do a rightmost, CA-2016 will come in one column, rest in another column. If you do each occurrence, it will split at each occurrence. Like if I do each occurrence, now you can see CA 2016 152156. Now if I split column and say by leftmost, so you see left is changed and rest all is coming up. Correct? So this is to split the column. Also you have other option by number of characters. Like I want first 10 characters. That number of characters, you can just mention it, right? Or you can select by position or lowercase to uppercase to lowercase. So there are a lot of options over here. So you can try this out in case you want to do it. Done. So I think till now what we are seeing are the very easy steps. Correct? Slowly and gradually we will see some different kind of steps which are coming up. Now next is a group by. What does a group by means? Anyone having any idea? So group by is basically used to check how many rows of data I have or what's the total sum of the data. Like suppose if I say group by, what I want to group it by ship mode. And I want to name it as a new column as sales. And I want to see what's the sum of your sales. Sum of your sales. So basically I want to see how many ship modes are there and what is their sales. So it will group how many ship modes I have? 4. Second class, standard class, first class, same day. And it says, okay, in second class, what is the sales? This much is the sales. In standard class, this is the sales. First class, this is the sales. Same day, this is the sales. So it just gives you an idea about what you want to do. Like in case you want to count, if you want to count rows, right, it will show you how many data I have for second class, 1945. How many for standard class? 5968. First class this. Same day 543. So you can say maximum number of transactions are done by standard class.
Can you do that just one more time?
So group by basically tries to group by the number of categories in any column. Like if I go over here, region or segment, how many segments I have? 3, consumer, corporate and home office. I want to see the sales of this individual segment. What's the total sales done by consumer, corporate and home office? So I can say group by segment. What I want to see is a new column sales. What I want sum of sales. So it shows that in consumer, what is your sales? This is the sale. Corporate, this is the sales. Home office, this is the sales. It's also one of the way to check whether is there any change in your data set, right? You can pick up any column and you can do a group by of sales and take a snapshot of it. Once you perform all the transformation steps, then you again do a group by to re-verify is there any loss in data or not.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now you can just try it. Just take a minute or so. This is important group by. A lot of people get confused in group by. So just do it there. All right. Now the next step is data type. It's simple. What is a data type? We have already seen. So you can directly change it by clicking up over here like this if I have to change it. Or what you can do is you can select this and say from here what is this. Correct. So data type is just to change the data type of a particular column. So you can change it from here directly. Like if I say this is not a date, this is a number. It says whether you want to add a step. Yes, I add a step. So it gives you a number. But if you say no, this is not a decimal number, this is a date, you can click it over here, add new step, and you can convert it into the date. Correct? So this is for data type. Now an important step comes. Use first rows as header. What does this mean? Over here, it's all right. First row is already working as a header. But what if first row is not working as a header? Then you can just click it over here and say use first rows as headers. And you will see the first row becomes headers. And if you say again, use headers as first row, it will do it back. Correct? So I demoted this. I'm closing those steps one by one. So in case your first row is a header and it is coming column 1, column 2, column 3, you can click it over here and say first rows as header. Now remember one thing, the data which you bring in the Power BI, you cannot edit that data. Suppose you say this date is entered wrong. I want to change this date. It cannot happen. You will have to go to your source data and change it over there, and you will have to refresh the data. You cannot change the data in Power BI. But you will say, Puneet, here is a replace value. Can't I replace it? Okay, you can replace the value, but the problem is if you replace this value, this second class to suppose I write SEC class. The problem is it will replace all second class. Can you see? It's not changing individual value, it's replacing all the values. So you cannot change your data in Power BI, but yeah, you can replace it. For example, you think that this spelling is wrongly mentioned or you want to give some different name, then you can see there are two options to do it. You click on replace value. This will come up. correct? Like you can click it over here and then say right click, replace value. It will pick this up over here, correct? Or like if you have now selected this, now if you click on replace value, it will show you blank. So it's better to click to the cell where you want to replace the value. Then you click on replace value, it will automatically find value to find second class, and then you can replace it. Now see, are these steps clear to everyone?
So far, so good.
Now go to this folder. In the materials, there is one more file, sample superstore new region. Can you see this file, sample store new region? So you can download this file. Everyone download this file, sample superstore new region.
Got it.
And now go to Power Query. Click on this new source Excel file and now connect this sample store new region. And now bring this orders tab over here. Click OK. In case somebody is facing any issues to bring in, just let me know. I will help you out.
Did you bring that in as a load or a transform?
No, so from where you are bringing in, you are on the Power Query editor, select new source, click Excel workbook, select samples to new region, correct?
Got it. Thank you.
Click OK. It does not give you transform, but yeah, in case you are on this particular link, from here you do it, Excel workbook, new store, then it will give you an option to load it. Transform this. But what I did is I directly did it from Power Query window. Excel workbook, sample superstore, and I did it. Done.
Got it. Thank you.
Only 1 or 2 years are coming. Other people, are you doing or?
Oh, yes, able to load it.
Yes, it's loaded.
Yeah. Now see, this is orders too. It can get confusing, correct? What is this orders and orders to? So the first step which we can do is we can rename it and say orders underscore new region. Correct? Why I've added new region? What was the name of our file? Sample superstore new region. So that's why I said orders new region. And from here I can say this is from my original sample superstore file. Now the ball is in your court. We have applied some steps. We have seen some steps. Now let's see whether you are able to clean this data or not. Now see, Power BI initially tried its level best. Let me just open this file. Now the Power BI, once we brought this file in the Power BI, it tried its level best to perform some activities. Now let's just see the structure of this file. What happened? There are two blank rows. Can you see these two blank rows? When I imported the data in Power BI, source, navigation, promoted headers. So it promoted the first row. So what happened is from the top it went down. It found the data in which row? First row. So what happened? It promoted this as a header. So you can see column 1, 2, 3, 4 data. Now it changed the data types. Just a second, let me just read. Orders underscore new. Correct. So after it promoted the headers, it changed the data type. Now, but you know there is some problem. Why? Do you think this is the header? No. What are your headers? These are your headers. Now just try to go from left to right and see how many columns you have. 21. And how many columns you are getting over here? 21. That's fine. So can you see there are certain empty rows? Can you see the column quality? There are empty rows over here. So now let's see what you guys can do to clean this data. Think what steps you will apply from here and do it. Take 5 minutes, think, and then do it.
So we know it's good when everything's valid at 100%. Then in that case,
think how you will do it. That's why we first think for 2-3 minutes. Then you decide how will you do it.
So we have to remove the top 2 rows using the remove rows option.
Correct.
That will clear the empty errors.
So 2 rows. My first task is done. Now I'm getting 100% valid results. Next, what step you will do?
use first rows as headers.
Correct. Use first rows as headers. Correct. And now you can go left to right.
And then the data types all auto changed. Is that?
Yeah. So because that, as I said, it says always detect. So it will try to improvise those things again and again. Correct.
The other way is remove blank rows.
Correct.
And use first rows as headers.
Correct. So you can to do one thing in Power BI, there are a lot of different ways to do it. Correct. So you need not worry on that this is the correct way or that's the correct way. Yeah.
And I had removed the promoted headers that was in the applied steps first, since they were incorrect. And then I fixed the data and then did the promoted headers again. So I don't have that promoted headers 1, basically. So my steps are a little cleaner looking, I guess.
Yeah, so see, it's up to you how you want to do it. There is nothing, as I said, nothing wrong, nothing correct in this thing. Also, I will just tell you one thing. This I have observed in the data set. Now, the data which you were provided to you was for new region, but somebody has by mistake added new regions space 2. Correct. So you need to replace this value. because the data which is in this particular file should be of new region. It should not have new region 2. So what you will do is you can click replace value, new region space 2, and it should change to new region. And you click OK. And you will see now load more. There is nothing comes up.
I have a quick question. I noticed that under the properties, the name of the file, you used underscore new region, one word. If I were to rename it but not have underscore or have a space in the name, is that going to cause downstream issues? Is there a specific reason you named it that way?
No, so see it's happening. So I'm just.
Oh, okay. You can do it either way. Anything will work basically.
Anything will work. It's just a name.
Okay.
So replace the values. What I did is replaced for new region.
When I try to apply my changes, I get an error saying the model doesn't have a table named orders underscore new region.
Is it possible to share your screen?
I have orders, a new region, got my headings. I click apply.
Just a second, close. Okay, let me just see if I'm getting this error.
Probably not. Nope.
No, I am not getting any error.
Do you have the region column selected when you do the replace value?
Orders removed, blank rows, removed headers. No, that will not make any difference. So, okay, right click. Can you click right click over here? Enable load, include in data fresh. Orders new region is there. Can you click close and apply?
Do you actually have a new region 2 listed in that column though? Because I didn't.
Click
I didn't
close.
either.
Make sure you select. Yeah, load more to get it to show up.
Close it. Okay.
Can you go back to your
Power Query.
Yeah.
Transform data. Click on transform data.
So when you click on region, do you have more than one option there? Because I didn't. And so I didn't have to do what he did to change the name.
No, not this one. In the order query 2 tab. Order new region. Go to region. Yeah, there. Can you just replace value? Click on new region. Replace value. On the right hand side. Yeah. Now write values to find new region space 2. Above, just write space 2. Above. Yes, space 2. And below write new region. N capital NEW. Click OK. All right. Now can you just apply it? The model does not have a table named. Close it. Can you just rename this call table in the properties, under properties? Rename.
Take the spaces out and the underscores out.
Click OK. Now can you apply? just with the model does not. Was it earlier applying when you were applying when
Oh
the
yeah, I
other
had no problem. Yeah, I had no problems earlier.
Okay,
Let me
just
play.
close,
Go
close
ahead.
this. Just close this query, orders new region. Go over here, delete this. Yeah, click on orders. Now click on apply. Okay. Now go to new source and bring this file once again. Since we have done only a small step, correct? Orders, yeah. Now do it. Remove rows. Remove two rows or remove blank. Remove rows. Remove blank. Yeah. Now use first rows as headers. Yeah, just apply it. Now try to apply it. Now it's done. So probably there now you can just say go to replace value, new region to new region, replace values towards the right. Yeah. Now replace new region to new region. Click OK. Yeah. Now click on apply. So probably there might be some issue while loading the data or something like that. That's why you are
I should
getting
be able to. I should be able to rename this though, right here, right? I can't rename it from new orders 2 to orders new region, right?
Cancel this out. Cancel this out. Rename from the right hand side. Right on the right hand side there is properties. Go above where it says order to. Now below where it says yeah. Change it here now. Orders underscore new region. Alright, anything, yeah? Yeah. Now just apply it. Apply the changes.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
it's done.
All right, thank you.
All right. No worries. So I guess everyone is able to do this. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes. Yep. Looks good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now see, there is another option over here. Append queries. Now what does this append means? I guess if I tell you another word, then you will recognize it. Append means basically union of data. Correct? Everyone knows what is a union? No, I guess.
Right.
Correct.
Bringing two together.
Yes. Suppose you can see half of your data is in this table, orders, and half of your data is in another table. Now the union will, what does the union will do? It will keep the first data as it is and bring the new data and place it below that. For example, you have this data, some data like this. You have this data like this, correct? And you have another data over here like this in another table, correct? So half of your data is in one table, half of your data is in another table. Now you want to union, append it, basically combine both the tables so that I get a one data. So what will happen? It will copy this data and place it below over here so that you get a one table. Correct? So this is the meaning of union. If you have data in multiple queries, the data is same and you want to club it in one table, then you can create a union, or in Power BI, we call it as append queries. Now always remember, how does an append queries work? So see how many, suppose in one sheet, I have these many columns. Correct? How many columns I have?
21.
I have these 7 columns. In another sheet also, I have these 7 columns, irrespective of the order. What is my first column? Row ID. Row ID. What is my second column over here? Order ID. What is the second column over here? Order date. What is the third column over here? Order date. Here I have ship date. Irrespective of the sequence, it will paste the data exactly as it is. For example, wherever my column of order ID is, if here order ID is 234, so it will place this 234 below this order ID. But you have to make sure one thing, that the name of the column should be exactly the same. That means this should be exactly equal to this order ID. In case there is even a case sensitive, if it is small d, though it looks like a true over here, but these are not exact. These are not exact match. These are not exact match. Can you see exact? No, this is false. So what will happen in this case? So once you get in this case, if it's a slight change in the name, it will consider this as a new column and it will copy and add one more column. So as an end result, how many columns you will get? 8. And what will happen? There will be some null values over here, wherever the data is here. Correct? And you will have null values over here, wherever your data is present over here. Got it? Now let me just show you. Now it gives you two options. I have selected this query. There is a drop down. It asks you two options, append query and append query as new. What does this mean? If you say append query, this will be your base query. The data which is in this new query will be copied and pasted below this. This means append query. And if you say append query as new, these two queries will remain as it is. A third query will come up and it will create a new query with the combined table. Now see, I select this and say append queries as new. Append queries as new. Now it says how many tables you want to join. As of now, how many tables I have? 2 tables. What is my first table? Orders. What is my second table? Orders as new region. Click OK. Now can you see a new query comes up over here, append 1. Correct? And how many columns you have? 21. How many columns I have? 21. How many columns I have? 21. But now suppose if I make this case insensitive, I make it small d. Now see what will happen. How many columns I have? 21. How many columns I have? 21. How many columns I have? Yes, 20.
Right, 22.
22. Correct? So if I go towards the last, can you see? It shows null, 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 what I said. So wherever here is the data, it will show you null. Why? Because there is no data over here. And similar thing will happen over here. So if you go to your first call row, and if I say go to down, so there's a limit of 1000. So we are not able to see, but yeah, there will be some null values over here. Remember, null is never an empty one. Correct? So make sure you use it as a exact thing. So this should basically give you an indication that there is some problem in your data. While you are appending the data, remember to see the number of columns, and then see in the append how many columns comes up. Correct? Just do this.
So for null, it won't show it as an error then, or
Pardon?
so when we renamed it to roll, to show that, the difference to have it null. Yep. It won't on that 22nd column, it won't do any like nulls or as errors or empty.
It will not do. It will
Okay.
not do. Now see just one thing. I can just click it over here. No. I can just delete it for 1 minute. Like, so if I select this and say append queries, so it will just ask you which region you want to append, and it will place the data over here. Now, if you go to transform and count rows, it has 12,320 rows. Correct? So append query as the new will create one additional query. That's the only difference over here. Do it.
I'm not seeing the merge queries, append queries in the query view.
So did this append query as new?
Well, I'm not seeing those options at all. Merge queries, or I see others, but not the. Do I need to make my screen smaller?
Can you see you are on the home option?
Yeah, I'm in the home option.
Share your screen.
Okay.
I'm stopping my screen.
It showed as combine button for me.
No, not the combine.
Just a moment. Share.
Mm.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not seeing the query.
Okay.
I'm at the home.
Yeah, that's what Murli said under the combine. Because I think
Under the combined.
You click on the combine drop down.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay. Thank you.
So I guess everyone has done till here.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Now see how many queries you have as of now. 1, 2, and 3 queries, correct?
Correct.
But you will work on which query? Append one, correct? Because this
Probably,
is the ultimate table. This is the ultimate table, correct?
Right.
So you can go to Orders tab, right click and enable load, deselect. Correct? Why should I load this query in Power BI when I don't want to work on this? Then I again go to Orders New Region, deselect this, enable load. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And just say close and apply. And see whether you have this append one or not in your Power BI.
Yep.
So now you should have only one query. See why we have not loaded this? Because we want to be working on that. We will be working on this append one. So I loaded this one. Correct?
Right.
Now we should save this Power BI file. So you can click on File, click on Save As, and you can write it as exercise 1, or you can say anything, you can name anything, and the extension of the file is .pbix. Exercise 1, and you can save this file. Choose the location where you want to save it. Don't save it randomly so that tomorrow once you come up, it becomes tough to find that file. So select whether you want to keep on desktop or in downloads or in documents, wherever you want to keep, or even you can create a folder in your PCs by the name Training Power BI and save it there.
Got it.
I have a question. When I closed mine and opened it back up, I don't know where to find. I missed where you found your.
I didn't get you. What you have done?
I didn't know. So I did apply and close, right? And then I opened Power BI back up, but I didn't see where you clicked to see.
No, so I just close and apply. Bottom there is a Power BI, correct? Share your screen. So below is the Power BI icon. Just open this, and on the right hand side you will see append 1.
Okay, I don't see append 1, but I'll
share your screen. Share your screen. Click on this transform data.
On transform data.
Yeah. Transform data above, go above.
Okay. Oh,
left,
here.
Yeah, transform data. There's a small icon. Okay. So you have closed it. I guess you will not be able to fetch it again. Because if you haven't applied, can you close this transform? This window, Power Query window, close this. Go down, there is a Power BI icon in the bottom toolbar here. Can you see the second one? Okay, can you click on the first one? There are 2 files. Go down. First one. I guess.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay. I don't know why there were 2 open.
No,
And why when I opened the second one, it didn't find it, but okay, thanks.
Yeah. So because if you click on close button, it gives you an error that you have not saved this file in case you lose out on that data like that. Right
Yeah,
now you
it didn't give me an error or anything.
Yeah. So now you can go to file, top left file, save as.
Okay. Thanks.
So the queries that we worked on, they're attached or
they're attached.
Related to this specific workbook, I guess, or what would you call this?
No, they are associated with this. So tomorrow, once you close this file, you open up this again, you click on transform data, you will see all these there. And append 1 will always be there.
Got it. Thank you.
So I guess in case you have any doubts from today's class, I can take this up. In case you don't have any doubts, then we will connect next week. And I guess you like the session that you are able to practice it simultaneously with me so that all your doubts are also solved side by side.
Yeah, it was good following along.
Sure. See, this is just a beginning. As of now, I'm just going step by step. First, we will do with the ease of work, and then we will take it to the gradually next level. So when you start using a tool, it becomes very kind of hectic like thing. We don't know where to go, where is the home option, where is append option. So slowly and gradually, we will take up this to the next level. Right? It's just the beginning of the task. So we will go step by step. And once we complete all the steps, we will start taking up the case studies.
Sounds
All
good.
right. All right. Any doubts? Anyone?
None
Sounds good
here.
to me.
All right, then we can close down the session over here. Thank you guys and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.